All right. Professor Francis Anthony Boyle is a leading American expert in international law. He was responsible for drafting the Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of '89, the American implementing legislation for the '72 Biological Weapons Convention. He served on the board of Doctors of Amnesty International and represented Bosnia and Herzegovina at the World Court. He serves as a legal advisor to President delegation to the Middle East peace negotiations in '91-'93. He delivered the Bertrand Russell Peace Lectures. Professor Boyle teaches international law at the University of Illinois. Champaign is the author, and I'm not going to go over all of his books that he's written, dozens of them. He holds a Doctor of Law, magna cum laude, as well as a PhD in political science, both from Harvard University. And his most recent book, Destroying Libya and World Order, the 3 decades U.S. campaign to terminate the Gaddafi revolution, available on Amazon.com. We appreciate him being so available the last few days. Thank you for coming on. What is your take on what's happening with Ebola, sir?
Well, thank you for having me on, Alex. And just one point of clarification, that Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act that I did draft is on the Federal Criminal Code. It was passed unanimously, my legislation, by both houses of Congress.
Yes.
And signed into law by President George Bush Sr., a conservative Republican. So it's not as if I'm doing something here at the behest of liberal Democrats. I think, as I've said elsewhere, what we're seeing there in West Africa is a result of the U.S. biosafety level for laboratories, the highest level. We have one in Guinea, one in Liberia, and one in Sierra Leone. And these labs do every type of hideous biological warfare work you could possibly imagine, including DNA genetic engineering on just about every type of agent you can possibly imagine. So it's my opinion that this is where it came from. I'm trying to figure out, precisely what type of agent we're dealing with. Today's New York Times has 2 variants. One, what looks like some type of hoof and mouth disease that was genetically engineered along with Ebola down at the University of Texas in Galveston. And a second type, this is in the New York Times today, you can read it.
That's right, hidden in plain view. I have the article right here. Just buried this is a product of BioShield, so our bioweapon is bouncing back on us.
I'm afraid this is blowback. The second
unbelievable
bio weapon involved here is the National Institutes of Health. They've always been up to their nose in actually their eyeballs in biological warfare, and the Center for Disease Control. The second agent seems to be a genetically modified organism involving enhanced lethality, Ebola, together with the virus for the common cold.
Oh my God!
And you put the 2 of them together. Now,
so I mean, you're the author of our biological weapons law. You're a top expert in this. You were access to a lot of classified stuff when you did that work. You're here telling us that you've looked at this. It's hiding in plain view. And we know we have these secret bioweapons labs in Africa. That's what the African scientists are saying. The media has been attacking me for pointing out that South Africa admitted they developed this stuff. That was declassified in the mid-'90s, as you know, with Project Coast. And
yeah, I work with them too. Right, that's well known. Yeah.
So you're saying, in your view as an expert, you believe that this is a Western-developed bioweapon crossed with the cold, because the Army's come out, we have the report on Infowars.com today, and said they believe that it will transfer like influenza A in temperatures below 45 degrees and will go airborne this winter.
I think it's been manufactured to be airborne to some extent, although for your viewers, I want to make it clear, I have never had access to any type of classified information. I've never had a government security.
Only when you were in Congress working with them, because I read some of the filings on it, it just talked about, well, I guess, declassified info that you went over with them then.
That's right. Back in those days, everything was in the public record, but pursuant to Freedom of Information Act requests where you could actually get something. But these days you can't get anything, and you just have to read the press and scientific literature very carefully to find out what's going on. Yes, concerning the influenza virus, today the New York Times, I just sent you my comment on that, says that they're going to be testing out 3 types of vaccines over there, the 2 I mentioned, and a 3rd involving the flu. And now, you have to understand, they call it vaccines, but this is simultaneously offensive, defensive work. First, you develop the biological agent itself by means of genetic engineering. In the case of Galveston, it looks like foot and mouth or something, and Ebola, enhanced Ebola. And in the case of NIH and GlaxoSmithKline, it is this, what I call Cobola, the common cold, together with the enhanced Ebola. And by the way, it's reported yesterday that in the BBC today, GlaxoSmithKline has been over in Guinea testing this stuff out. And in Mali. Mali just came down with its first case of Ebola reported today. So the third variant then appears to be some type of Ebola, enhanced Ebola, with the flu. So that'd be even more contagious than the other 2, if that's what the New York Times says they're going to do this. And we have to understand, the weapon comes first, and then the vaccine comes second. So when they say they're testing out vaccines with GMO, that also means they have the weapon. And they very well could be just using the weapon and withholding the vaccines. The positive point here, though, Alex, is this. It's a fundamental rule of biological warfare that you do not launch a biological warfare attack on anyone unless you have already developed an effective vaccine by use of the same technology. Now, if you read that story I sent you today from the New York Times, which I analyzed carefully, it appears that these vaccines have already been developed at Galveston,
yes,
National Institutes of Health, and have not been developed but produced, but at a small scale. The excuse, well, we couldn't jack it up because Big Pharma wouldn't come in here, that's ridiculous. We spent $79 billion on this stuff since 9/11. And maybe
that's BioShield. That's the BioShield program.
All of everything, all the biowarfare together, from 9/11 till now, we've spent $79 billion.
Well, Dr. Boyle, that's what all my listeners have been saying the last month, is that, again, we're not biological weapons experts like you, but we can look at it and say, Ebola's been around for 30-something years in the news. Magically, they've got all these vaccines they say are going to be ready just by the end of the year next year that, lo and behold, basically match what we see popping up in Africa. And the Africans are saying, listen, there's been UN vaccination programs and other things. That's where it's coming from. They're running. They know. And then it goes back to the boldness of the establishment. Why would Obama then and others let it spread everywhere around the U.S. and lie about it and disappear people? We now know that's going on. We just don't know the severity. Then I guess it's to hold the panic till they're ready to roll it out and then pose as saviors. It just seems like such a bold move. This is the most crazy thing I've ever broadcast on. This is overwhelming me psychologically. I don't know what to say, Dr. Boyle. What do you think's happening?
Yeah, it fits the pattern of what happened on September 11, 2001 with the anthrax attacks that we know those were U.S. government agents involved. That was super weapons grade anthrax manufactured at Fort Detrick and Battelle, Dugway Proving Ground. And we know that the entire White House was on Cipro prior to those attacks because they knew the attacks were coming.
That's Associated Press.
Right, that's all over. So my assessment of the situation is that Galveston and NIH already have these vaccines along with the agents, and I suspect our elite have already been administered these vaccines to protect them from the blowback, which is undoubtedly coming. If you look at the New York Times there, they've been working on these vaccines since Ebola was first sent. The WHO, which by the way does what the CDC tells them to do, ordered Ebola in 1976 sent to Portondown, which is the British equivalent of our Fort Detrick.
And that's where they got caught doing all the Mengele experiments on the troops.
Right, and that's their Fort Detrick, and it obviously was sent there for weapons purposes, and then it was sent to CDC, and CDC has always been up to its eyeballs in biological weapons. I have an official government document here establishing that CDC was doing biowarfare work for the Pentagon no later than 1988. And they had to have constructed the lab before that. So CDC is in on this. But they've had all those years, from 1977 till now, to develop the Ebola as a bioweapon and a vaccine.
And now they magically have it. We're going to go to break, and I want to come back and ask you this question, what you think about it.
We get to the money, too. I'll talk to that in a minute.
We'll talk about vaccines, money. Dr. Boyle's our guest, author of the Biological Weapons Law, and Terrorism Law, and Treaties, and other things. Just simply amazing. I mean, I have 3 children. I'm so upset about this. Because here's what I see, and that's what I want Dr. Boyle to talk about when we come back. They wouldn't be doing something this dangerous, this bold, this crazy, that makes them unpopular if it wasn't for some other bigger goal. They may be going for broke. This may be the big one. That's why I'm so upset, is the government is at the top is acting so crazy. And I don't think it's an ineptitude, like Dr. Boyle says. It's pretty much a staged deal. The question is, what is it?
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-888-912-1595. 1-888-912-1595. That's 1-888-912-1595. 1-888-912-1595.
Aging starts at the cellular level. When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries. During that period, key patented compounds have focused on mitochondrial growth, nerve growth, and rejuvenation. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. We now have the synergistic solution, DNA Force, just one of the key compounds. BioPQQ is backed by major clinical studies and over 175 PubMed-listed published studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.
Newsflash, home invasions are on the rise. It takes less than 10 seconds to kick in a door. 10 seconds is not enough time to protect your family. And what would happen if you're not home? Easy Armor is the ultimate security solution. 85% of break-ins are through a door. Protect your home now with Easy Armor. Go to invasionstopper.com to get real security for under $70. That's invasionstopper.com. Easy Armor. Your security is our only business.
This winter, next to water and food, you need a safe, storable fuel supply for your preparedness needs. Spare fuel is the answer. Unlike gasoline, spare fuel can be safely